Angles. It's Generation Next. Youth leaders, youth activists, how COVID is affecting young people.
As a young person, personally, I can say I feel restrained. I feel confined to my own house.
And their calls to protect the environment for them and generations yet to come.
I currently do not feel confident with the decision that has been made regarding mining in the Puerto Bueno area.
It's the All Angles Youth Forum coming up now. Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of All Angles. I'm Dion Jacksmiller. You know, this is one of my favorite types of programs that we do on All Angles, our Youth Forum. We're coming to the end of Youth Month, so we did want to get together some of our youth leaders and talk about some of the issues affecting them. In studio with me, I have Robin Murray. She's first vice president of Academic Affairs, Clubs and Society for the UTEC Students Union Council. Also with us, Kiefer Denners. He's public relations officer of the UWI Guild of Students. And joining us, thanks to the technology of Zoom, we also have Janelle Peart. She's a final year student at UA as well. We have Demore McQueen. He's head boy of Morant Bay High School in St. Thomas. Christina Williams is a former head girl of Jose Marti Technical High, now a student at CASE, the College of Agriculture, Science and Education. And Jadon Hewitt is joining us from Montego Bay. He's head boy at Cornwall College and general secretary of the National Secondary Students Council. So thanks to technology, we managed to span the entire island for our guests this evening. Thank you all so much. It's so great to have you all on. All right, so let's start out with the big issue of the day, which is COVID. We've been talking a lot about COVID and how it's been affecting us. How is it affecting the people who are now in school, students looking to secure employment in the job market? Okay, let me start with you guys in studio. So Robin, talk to me a little bit about what the past 6 months have been like for you.
Well, it's really been, I wouldn't say smooth, but we're trying to like readjust to the situation. So it's been really rough not being able to hang out with our friends as much as we used to socialize with each other, or even to just be at school. It's been a bit rough for us.
So how are your classes going now? You're studying land surveying and geographical information systems. How does that work without the in-person element?
As it is right now, all of my classes are online, but it would be great, or it would be the case where we would be in the field doing the actual surveys, but this time, because of the situation, we're limiting the face-to-face interaction. So we're doing most of our classes straight online, and we just use the data sets to do the work that we would have done. So instead of actually going out in the field to collect the data, we basically get the information already and we just work with it.
Okay. So tell me about you, Kiefer, and how it's been affecting you.
All right, well, transitioning to online classes was very difficult, to be very honest.
What was difficult about it?
The teaching style changed. I mean, I think a lot of persons don't understand that this is new, not just for students, but for teachers as well, lecturers. So they had to adapt, we had to adapt. And it was difficult not seeing them. What I'm used to at school is, after a difficult class, go down the stairs and speak to a lecturer about whatever issues we might have had with a previous class. That's no longer an option. We have face-to-face consultations that we used to have also at school. Can't do that again. It's over online means. And I mean, it works, but it's not the same. It doesn't give us the same effect.
You miss the personal element.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, let me go to our guests on Zoom. Janelle, let me come to you first of all. Tell me how it's affected you.
Well, for me, it has affected me. In the early stages, it was more of a mental issue where it was no longer going to school to do the assignments or to do our research or to go and do labs. It was now staying home and do your research and all your exams and everything. So for a while when COVID just hit, it was very unsure. And then we had to regroup and to deal with the issue at hand, and then we would inform our fellow classmates, because at the time I was a course rep, and I would have to inform my classmates what is the next step we'll be taking as the student body, as the university. And now it has become less tedious, but it is no longer the face-to-face, no more interacting with your fellow classmates. So no one can really get that hands-on or that close connection to really understand the material. So if you don't understand something, you would have to find a way of how best you can get to understand the material at hand. And hopefully the next class you can present it to your lecturer and let them know what is the issue.
We haven't spoken a lot about the impact of the pandemic on students and our young people with disabilities. You, for instance, you use a wheelchair to get around. Are there any special issues,
Yes, I do.
special challenges that you have found facing you and your community as a result of the pandemic?
Okay, so with the pandemic for persons with disability, it has now become more challenging for us in the education field. So persons that might have intellectual challenges, now they are being they're being at home. Now parents don't necessarily understand how to really teach them certain things and how certain they don't have the special education background, so they can't really necessarily facilitate their children. And for those of us that are like, for example, those that are at the university level that are blind, we are seeing where we are having challenges for some of the courses that we're doing, because normally we would be in class and then some of us would have our classmates assist us in showing us certain things. So they're blind, they're tactile learners. So they no longer have that hands-on experience. So it has been a lot of challenge. It not only affects the students themselves, but it's also spilling over into the household, because now parents will have to have persons there for the children, those that are working, or some have to leave their jobs to now be with the child to ensure that they can facilitate their education.
Well, the more, let me come to you. Give me a perspective on how COVID has affected you and your friends and fellow students.
Well, Dion, I totally agree with all the participants here this evening. But in terms of how COVID 19 has affected me personally, I can say that it has been very hard for me to adapt to the new normal. You know, we're in a home setting that was never designed for online, for classes and face to face and that kind of interaction. Because at the end of the day, we're at home, the Netflix is there, the YouTube is there, the distraction is there. And you know, in preparation for tonight's discussion, I spoke to a few student leaders from right across the parish of St. Thomas. And just to get an understanding as to some of the issues that their peers are facing. And one student said that she doesn't have any connectivity issue. Her issue is the distraction at home. So that is a major concern, in my opinion. In addition to that, one student expressed that he has to leave home every morning in order to go to another neighbor's house for internet connectivity. And we're talking about such issues in light of a pandemic where there are major possibilities of transmission and so on. So there are a number of issues and concerns that I believe my colleagues can relate to.
Christina, what about you?
Good afternoon. So my problem is I'm here at case I'm in a boarding facility. So I'm here face to face. But me, I coming from the farm, my physical appearance is okay. So me going home, sitting in my room, turning over, I'm not physically prepared, but I'm not mentally prepared. Normally, when in a confined environment, as such as school, you'll be there. You'll be focused. As Demar said, you have like internet, you have the YouTube, the Netflix. That is another distraction for me. So and being here in a confined environment, such as you have the rules, you can't go to one person dorm, you can't do this. That's my problem, because I'm here at a boarding facility and I'm telling you, this school is trying, but it is always a problem just because it is COVID. COVID has always been the problem since the few months, and it's continuing being the problem. So, as I said, mentally, we're not prepared because we're not physically prepared. So normally you get up in the morning, wash your face, brush your teeth, go to school. You can just roll over in your bed and you're ready for school. And that's not what we want because we're now distracted and we're not mentally and physically prepared as students.
That's interesting. I would have thought that would have made it easier. But Jadon, let me ask you.
Good night, and thank you very much for having me. I'd like to express my gratitude for a conversation of this magnitude, which values the importance of youth. For me, this pandemic has been a very trying time. As we would say here in Jamaica, everywhere you turn Makajukyo. So from the connectivity issues to the fact that I have to not only be serve as a student, but I'm also now a principal, a student, and ICT manager for my younger siblings because I have to ensure that they too are being reached because no learning is a community thing. It's not just an individual thing anymore. Additionally, I have been missing out a lot because of, like I said, frequent power outages. Just today, while I was in class, the power went away just like that, and I would have missed out on what was discussed. So, whilst COVID-19 has made it easier for me as a student, where now I don't have to sojourn to school and risk all of the vulnerabilities that exist in our transportation system. But now, while I'm home and I'm not exposed to all of that, I am still exposed. I'm even now more vulnerable in terms of my education because at the snap of a finger, then the power is away, the internet is away, and I'm not the only one experiencing challenges. My teachers are having challenges also, right? So whilst COVID has made it better for me in terms of getting prepared for school, wherein I can just roll over and I'm ready, now I am more vulnerable in terms of my education.
Yeah, it's interesting when any one of you is talking, I see everybody else nodding along and clearly so much commonality of views here. We're going to go to the break. When we come back, we continue to talk to our representatives of our All Angles Youth Forum. Remember, our hashtag is TVJ All Angles. We're back in just a moment.